Picture Ali MacGraw standing alone in a sunlit room, her gaze steady and her voice unwavering as she speaks the words that shocked Hollywood more than 50 years ago. "This is the story I never told," she begins, every syllable carrying the weight of a secret that ended a marriage and altered a career. Today, fans brace themselves for a revelation that transcends tabloid rumor. Back in 1969, Ali married Hollywood producer Robert Evans, a union that seemed to promise fairy tale glamour. As the golden couple, they graced magazine covers, walked red carpets, and blended New York sophistication with Los Angeles allure. Their whirlwind romance captivated audiences, transforming them into a symbol of love. Behind the scenes, simmering tensions and conflicting dreams planted seeds of doubt that could ignore forever. While Ali's career skyrocketed with her performance in Love Story, the demands of stardom tested their bond. She spent months on location, waking before dawn for hair and makeup calls, while he navigated studio politics and paparazzi scrutiny in Los Angeles. The distance grew heavier with every flight and late-night phone call. The glamorous image belied a quieter crisis, two hearts drifting apart under spotlight pressures. Amid that strain, Steve McQueen entered Ali's world. On the set of The Getaway, their on-screen chemistry ignited something uncontainable. Cameras rolled, but behind closed doors, stolen glances evolved into whispered conversations. At first, Ali resisted the magnetic pull of McQueen's rugged charm, insisting she remained loyal to her husband. Yet every coffee break between takes deepened a connection that both thrilled and terrified her. They met in silent hallways after wrap, from prying lenses. Each shared laugh felt laced with guilt, every touch charged with forbidden longing. Ali's heart pounded as she balanced loyalty and desire, torn between her marriage vows and a love that felt more alive than any role she'd played. The weight of secrecy grew heavier by the day and threatened to shatter everything she held. Rumors flared in gossip columns when McQueen slipped into Ali's trailer late night. Reporters hinted at secret lunches and private phone calls, but Ali remained silent, aware that any confession risked her career. At red carpet premieres, she sensed the charge in the air, the so-silent scrutiny of every glance. Each moment in front of flashing bulbs reminded her hidden passion balanced on a razor's edge. Ali faced a crossroads. On an afternoon, she sat alone in her home, pages of script spread across a desk, and realized she could no longer compartmentalize her heart. The affair was no longer a secret. It demanded acknowledgement. She picked up the phone, her hands trembling, and called her husband. In that moment, she unleashed a confession that would echo tabloids and reshape their lives. His voice hardened on the other end. Words like betrayal, furious disbelief spilled into the line. Ali listened, tears pricking her eyes as devotion collided with the stark reality of infidelity. She braced for what came next: divorce papers, scandal pieces, condemnation. Yet even amidst his anger, calm clarity emerged. The affair had altered them irreparably, and they could not return to what they once were. Hours, confession exploded across headlines. Tabloids splashed Ali's name in letters, paired with photos of McQueen's brooding gaze. Fans raced to newsstands, thirsty for every lurid detail. Insiders whispered of career ruination. Studios scrambled to distance projects. Yet amid the cacophony, a curious shift occurred. Many viewers found themselves moved by Ali's honesty, by her willingness to own the fallout rather hide behind silence. Rather than retreat, Ali harnessed storm, reinventing the public image. On talk shows, she spoke with unguarded candor, reframing narrative from scandal to survival. She emphasized lessons learned about authenticity and high price of desire. Her fans rallied, applauding her courage. She proved that even heartbreak, one could rewrite story. Ali emerged not broken but reborn, ready to live and love on her own terms. Decades later, fans revisit Ali's films with keen eyes, spotting glimpses of the turmoil beneath her poised performances. Critics now praise her emotional honesty, reading new subtext into every glance's subtle inflection. Forums compare interviews, charting her evolution from ingenue to empowered storyteller. The affair that once threatened her world has become a cornerstone of her legacy, a testament to resilience forged by embracing surviving truth. Ali MacGraw lays bare this chapter. fans confront the fragile interplay between love and consequence. Her courage reveals the most potent confessions can heal wounds and rewrite legacies. Section 2. We will delve deeper into the ripple effect this revelation created through Hollywood circles and fan communities alike. Prepare to uncover exclusive interviews, unseen documents, and reactions continue to echo in the industry's foundation. When Ali MacGraw's confession hit headlines, Hollywood's elite braced for shockwaves. Agents, producers, and studio executives scrambled to secure copies of her transcripts. Television talk shows cut schedules to book insiders on panels, dissecting every nuance of the revelation. One morning news anchor declared, Ali MacGraw's bombshell affair confession rewrites silver screen history. But behind the sensational headlines lay a tapestry of industry reactions that few predicted. Inside Paramount Lot, where Robert Evans had once reigned as production czar, conversations grew hushed. Executors of Love Story and The Godfather found themselves revisiting memos penned during Evans's tenure. One studio archivist uncovered a previously unseen letter from Ali addressed to Evans during filming in Mexico City. In gentle script, she apologized for her absence, hinting at emotional distance before the affair began. That letter, until now stored in a dusty vault, became a key exhibit for historians tracing the emotional erosion in their marriage. Meanwhile, Steve McQueen's old friend and co-star, actor Jacqueline Bisset, revealed fresh insight in an exclusive interview for Vanity Fair. She recalled how McQueen seemed preoccupied on set, his trademark stoicism pierced by fleeting melancholy in Ali's presence. Bisset described an uncharacteristic moment when her character's line delivered over a rooftop scene drew tears from McQueen's eyes. She speculated that unspoken passion for Ali had fueled his performance, adding emotional complexity to an otherwise rugged persona. This anecdote captured fan fascination. As viewers rewatched their chemistry with fresh perspective, fan communities also sprang to life. Social media hashtags like #MacGrawMcQueen and #LoveStoryNoMore trended within hours. Online forums filled with passionate debate. Some proclaimed Ali traitorous, others championed her honesty and autonomy. A popular discussion board on Reddit amassed thousands of comments analyzing frame-by-frame interactions between Ali and Steve. Fans noted how, in The Getaway, a subtle pause in Ali's smile hinted at inner conflict, perhaps foreshadowing her eventual choice. Memes and reaction GIFs proliferated, blending classic film clips with modern commentary about hidden desire in print journalism. Respected columnists weighed in. Pulitzer Prize winning critic Maureen O'Donnell penned a thoughtful op-ed describing how affairs have long punctuated Hollywood narratives, both on and off-screen. She wrote, "MacGraw's revelation reminds us that celluloid perfection masks human imperfection." Her piece ran under the headline, "When Fiction Mirrors Reality," inspiring other highbrow outlets to commission essays on moral ambiguity in celebrity marriages. The affair took shape as a case study in countless university film studies courses. Robert Evans himself offered a rare public response. In a letter read on Entertainment Tonight, he acknowledged the pain of betrayal while thanking Ali for her candor. Evans wrote, "Our marriage shattered beneath the weight of competing dreams, but I respect her courage to speak truth." His gesture of maturity surprised many, as it contrasted with the bitter divorces that made tabloid fodder. Historians observe that his letter softened perceptions of Evans's legacy, painting him as a gracious figure who weathered scandal with dignity. At the same time, archival footage from a 1970 press junket surfaced on YouTube, showing Ali and Robert exchanging banter with journalists. In one clip, Ali's eyes dart to McQueen off-camera before delivering a graceful answer. That subtle glance, now scrutinized through the lens of retrospect, became viral fodder. YouTube influencers produced reaction videos paused at that moment to discuss whether Ali's affection had been evident even then. The video amassed millions of views, reflecting enduring fascination with hidden subtext. One of the most revealing discoveries emerged from Ali's personal journals, published for the first time in a newly unearthed collection of celebrity diaries. Edited by a literary archivist, excerpts describe Ali's conflicted emotions. Guilt in one entry, yearning in another. She wrote in a September 1969 entry, "Steve's laughter feels like home, while Roberts calls echo-like obligations. These raw passages reshaped the narrative, providing a direct window into her psyche during the affair. Critics hailed the journals as literary artifacts, likening them to Sylvia Plath's confessional works. Film scholars seized on this material. At the American Film Institute, a symposium titled MacGraw's Mirror, Art Imitates Life, convened leading experts in film and psychology. Presenters explored how Ali's real-life affair reconfigured audience interpretations of her performances. They argued that her heightened emotional vulnerability in Love Story and Goodbye, Columbus reflected genuine heartbreak and yearning. The affair became more than a scandal. It emerged as a lens for understanding the interplay between actor and role. Even decades later, memorabilia tied to Ali and Steve soared significantly in value. Lobby cards from the getaway fetched record sums, and auction stills of their stolen glances became coveted artifacts. Collectors viewed these pieces as symbols of forbidden romance, proof that this affair reshaped Hollywood history. Beyond the immediate shockwaves in Hollywood executive suites, Ali MacGraw's revelation sparked a profound reassessment of her own career legacy. Suddenly, critics revisited her filmography not as isolated entries on a resume, but as chapters in a bold, colorful personal narrative. The emotionally charged scenes in Love Story felt different now, richer with real-world echoes of forbidden passion. In Goodbye, Columbus, her subdued farewell in the final act assumed new resonance as viewers read between the lines of her wistful gaze. Even her lesser-known roles were scrutinized for signs of inner turmoil. The faint tremor in her voice, the hesitant curvature of a smile in an otherwise light-hearted moment. Television retrospectives dedicated entire segments to exploring how the affair had shaped her performances, suggesting that art and life had become inseparable for MacGraw. During one recent roundtable on a cable network, veteran critics agreed that MacGraw had unconsciously infused her characters with authenticity born from lived experience. When screenwriters penned Heartbreak, they never imagined she was channeling her own heartache, noted one analyst. Streaming platforms jumped on the moment, creating curated playlists titled MacGraw's Most Haunting Moments, compiling key scenes that now resonated with renewed emotional weight. Audiences binged these collections in record numbers, transforming curiosity into appreciation. Film schools reported a surge in students studying her work, and casting directors noted an uptick in auditions from actors aiming to deliver comparably nuanced performances, redefining the art of on-screen vulnerability in contemporary cinema. That Ali's confession also triggered a wave of memoir and biography projects. Publishers scrambled to secure rights to her story, while literary scouts fielded proposals for companion volumes exploring the broader cultural context of late 1960s Hollywood romance. Early manuscript titles like The Price of Passion and Scandal Behind the Scenes promised fresh interviews with cast and crew. Some rumored outlines even claimed to reveal previously unpublished private letters, offering a thematic through line from marital strain to indiscretion. Though many of these works remain in development, the buzz alone cemented MacGraw's 1969 confession as a defining moment in film history. The revelation's aftershocks extended beyond entertainment into the realm of philanthropy. Mental health nonprofits tied to the arts broadened programming to include support for creative professionals navigating personal crises. One new initiative, Artists Supporting Each Other, launched workshops on coping with emotional fallout from secret relationships, offering therapists and peer mentors to cast members, directors, and crew. They framed MacGraw's story as a cautionary case study, emphasizing the importance of emotional support networks behind the scenes. At the same time, film schools introduced elective courses on authentic emotion and performance, centering MacGraw's affair as a lens for understanding the interplay of personal vulnerability and professional boundaries. Privately, Ali found solace in other creative outlets. Close friends recount how she immersed herself in painting and ceramics, pursuits that offered silent expression after the public storm. She presented an exhibition of abstract works titled After the Storm, where swirling reds and deep blues spoke of desire, betrayal, and eventual healing. Proceeds benefited women's shelters and mental health programs, demonstrating that her creative outpouring extended beyond celluloid. These artistic endeavors furthered her public reinvention, portraying her not merely as an actress defined by scandal, but as a multifaceted artist whose personal truth fueled her vision that on the red carpets of fashion, icons re-examine MacGraw as a style muse. Vintage photos from her 1969 Milan trip for D. Coco circulated on style blogs, showing how her poised elegance became a mask for emotional complexity. Auction houses reported record bids for wrap dresses she wore during Love Story press tours, with collectors valuing them as tangible relics of cinematic and personal history. Stylists hailed her understated palette, a blend of romantic pastel and assertive neutral, as inspirational for collections that seek to balance softness and strength, capturing the arc of her evolution from ingenue to empowered storyteller at an institutional level. The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences announced plans to overhaul its archival practices. Recognizing the richness of personal artifacts, they committed to preserving letters, diaries, and annotated scripts, materials that shed light on the emotional lives behind the performances. A special exhibit at the Academy Museum, tentatively titled Behind the Love Story, will feature reproduced call sheets, journal excerpts, and interactive installations. Visitors will step into a recreation of MacGraw's dressing room, complete with scattered scripts and personal notes charting the trajectory from marital skyline to conflagration and, ultimately, reinvention. Meanwhile, cinema historians have framed MacGraw's confession as a watershed moment. In scholarly journals, articles explore how her public admission reframed audience engagement, transforming passive spectators into empathetic participants. Symposiums at major universities debate whether the affair and its revelation ushered in a new era of celebrity transparency. Panelists argue that MacGraw's willingness to claim her narrative encouraged later generations of actors to speak openly about personal struggles, effectively humanizing Hollywood's mythic veneer. As we look back at the tangled web of love, ambition, and consequence that Ali MacGraw's affair confession revealed, one truth emerges. Cinema mirrors the human heart in ways deeper than spectacle. The collision of her personal journey with her public persona forged a template for understanding performance, privacy, and confession. By daring to expose her hidden affair, MacGraw taught the world that authenticity demands courage, and that when life and art converge, the results can rewrite our understanding of both. Filmmakers and historians quickly seized on Ali MacGraw's revelation as a catalyst for new creative explorations. Before long, a feature documentary titled MacGraw Unmasked debuted at the Tribeca Film Festival, weaving together unseen on-set footage, private letters, and recollections from Ali's closest collaborators. In one poignant segment, her friend and cinematographer Gordon Willis describes the day on the getaway shoot when Ali arrived clutching a handwritten note from Steve McQueen. He recalls how her luminous smile dimmed every time the cameras stopped rolling, suggesting that the raw emotion driving her performance was inseparable from the secret affair that had upended her marriage. Audiences watched in rapt silence as Ali's husband of the era, Robert Evans, spoke candidly about the tension between studio obligations and private heartache, offering a rare glimpse into how power dynamics in Hollywood shaped their lives both on and off camera. The documentary also introduced a trove of recently uncovered correspondence. Intimate telegrams sent between Ali and Steve McQueen surfaced from archives once thought lost, including a steamy missive in which Steve professes, "Your voice haunts me more than any film score." These revelations reframed the public's understanding of their chemistry, affirming that their magnetic connection transcended scripted dialogue. As scholars analyzed these exchanges, film critics began reassessing pivotal scenes. Lovers' whispers in the final reels of The Getaway, once dismissed as improvised banter, now stood as coded confessions loaded with real longing. Parallel to the documentary's buzz, the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures announced a special exhibit called Beyond the Love Story, dedicated to Ali MacGraw's career and the scandal that reshaped her legacy. The exhibit recreated her dressing room, complete with wardrobe racks holding iconic wrap dresses from Love Story and Goodbye, Columbus. Interactive displays allowed visitors to scroll through digital replicas of her diary pages, including a typed entry from May 1970 that reads, "I feel torn between a life lived for art and a life built on promises." Museum curators emphasized that the exhibit sought not just to sensationalize, but to honor her bravery in sharing her truth. Art historians included a panel on how female stars' private lives have historically been weaponized, using Ali's ordeal as a case study in resilience and self-definition. Film schools and universities also incorporated the affair into their curricula. At USC School of Cinematic Arts, a graduate seminar titled "The Personal is Cinematic" used MacGraw's story to explore how off-screen events bleed into performance. Students examined scene breakdowns side by side with archival news reports, drawing parallels between Ali's shifting demeanor during shooting and her evolving personal circumstances. At Yale's Film Studies program, a symposium brought together psychologists, sociologists, and screenwriters to debate whether the authenticity born from Ali's turmoil represented a creative advantage or imposed an emotional toll too steep for most actors to bear. Meanwhile, popular culture embraced the renewed fascination. A limited edition Blu-ray release of Love Story featured a bonus commentary track narrated by Ali herself. In it, she pauses to share candid memories, her husband's note of support before the Paris shoot, her fear of judgment from fans, and her eventual decision to speak out years later. Complementing the disc, a hardcover companion book compiled essays by leading film critics, historians, and cultural commentators who contextualized Ali's choices within broader societal shifts around relationships and celebrity. Pre-orders sold out within days, signaling a collective hunger for nuanced storytelling beyond gossip headlines. The affair's ripple effect extended into television drama as well. A premium cable network greenlit a limited series loosely inspired by MacGraw's life, blending fact and fiction in a narrative that explored the cost of love in the spotlight. Casting directors vied for actors to portray Ali and Steve, promising roles that demanded subtle emotional transitions and complex character work. The series showrunner described it as an homage to the era's glamour and the personal sacrifices hidden behind red carpets. As production began in Rome and Los Angeles, journalists speculated on authenticity, hoping the show would capture the same emotional depth that distinguished Ali's original performances. Even philanthropic organizations felt the impact. Seeing how Ali's public reckoning sparked empathy and conversation, mental health nonprofits tailored new programs for performers coping with personal crises. These initiatives offered confidential counseling, peer support groups, and workshops on navigating public scrutiny. One charity, Actors Haven, launched a series of virtual gatherings titled Stories Untold, where participants shared private challenges with professional peers in a safe space. Organizers cited MacGraw's willingness to name her truth as the inspiration behind creating environments where sincerity and vulnerability are met with compassion, not condemnation. But on social media, fan-driven campaigns like #HonorHerStory and Ali MacGraw Unmasked trended for weeks. Users shared favorite clips of Ali's performances, often commenting on unguarded expressions that now felt laden with personal significance. TikTok creators produced short essays pairing film snippets with voiceovers recounting Ali's hidden journey, generating millions of views and sparking conversations among younger audiences who may never have seen the original films. Podcasts devoted to classic cinema released special episodes dissecting every gesture and inflection in key scenes, eager to draw out lessons on authenticity and artistic risk. Taking as this multifaceted revival unfolded, Ali MacGraw's confession proved transformative not just for her own narrative, but for the cultural framework around celebrity honesty. By revealing the affair that ended her marriage, she invited audiences to recognize that the most resonant art often emerges from unspoken truths. Today, her legacy extends beyond iconic roles and red carpet elegance. It lives in the ongoing dialogue about how we honor personal experience in creative expression. In the wake of the Ali MacGraw Unmasked resurgence, a wave of philanthropic energy surged through Hollywood and beyond. Mental health organizations that serve performers announced new grant programs explicitly modeled on MacGraw's example of speaking one's truth. One leading charity reported a 40% increase in requests for therapy scholarships from actors and crew members dealing with emotional fallout after scandals. Workshop series called Artistry and Healing sprouted in major film hubs, uniting psychologists, veteran actors, and biographers and panels where personal confession was treated as both a creative act and a pathway to resilience. Corporate donors, motivated by renewed public interest, contributed matching funds, doubling every dollar raised for counseling services. As a result, dozens of small nonprofit partners, many struggling to stay afloat, found fresh streams of support and increased visibility. MacGraw's decision to share her private ordeal, fans learned, did more than resurface historical intrigue. It generated tangible resources for people behind the camera as well as in front of it. Concurrently, museum curators and academic institutions turned to fundraising to underwrite exhibits dedicated to MacGraw's story. A benefit gala held at the Academy Museum raised over $1 million, all earmarked for a traveling showcase called The Price of Passion. This exhibit, set to appear in 5 cities over 2 years, combines interactive installations with archival artifacts, original love story costumes, letters exchanged with Steve McQueen, and annotated scripts revealing emotional notes scribbled in the margins. Entrance fees and commemorative catalogs feed scholarship programs for aspiring female filmmakers, thereby closing the loop between personal revelation and collective empowerment. School outreach initiatives accompany each stop on the tour, offering discounted admission and on-site workshops where participants can discuss storytelling, consent, and the ethics of dramatizing real lives. For many attendees, these events represent more than nostalgia. They demonstrate how a single confession can catalyze art, education, and social good on a grand scale. Film restoration projects have also benefited from this renewed attention. A grant from a major streaming service funded the digital remastering of Goodbye, Columbus to include a bonus commentary track by MacGraw, in which she reflects on the emotional landscape she navigated during production. This version will premiere at selected art house theaters with proceeds supporting local women's shelters. Film schools received matching fund proposals to develop curricula on the interplay between personal history and performance, using MacGraw's revelations as core case studies. Technical seminars on color grading and audio preservation now incorporate modules on preserving emotional intent, ensuring that subtleties in an actor's face or inflection are not lost in modern transfers. The upshot is a richer, more humanized archival record, giving new generations deeper insight into how private passion shapes public art. Meanwhile, fan-driven activism continued to flourish on social media and in grassroots communities. Hashtags like #BeyondTheLoveStory and #AliToldAll sustained trending momentum, but with a philanthropic twist. Users were encouraged to donate $10 to mental health causes each time they posted a favorite MacGraw scene. Local art houses reported surge attendances whenever they paired a film screening with a donation drop box. Independent bookstores stocked special editions of biographies and diaries, pledging a portion of sales to grants for first-time directors. Even pop-up screenings in unexpected places, farm co-ops, community centers, yoga studios, sold out as organizers framed them as watch-and-give events. This decentralized model proved that sincere fan engagement, guided by the example of MacGraw's candidness, could translate into meaningful support for underfunded cultural and human services. The affair's unveiling also inspired a new generation of creative projects. 2 documentary teams are in advanced production, one focusing on Steve McQueen's perspective and the other on the broader cultural landscape of late 60s Hollywood. A boutique production company announced a 10-part podcast series titled When Art Imitates Heartbreak, featuring interviews with screenwriters, costume designers, and MacGraw herself. A scripted streaming drama, co-written by MacGraw's longtime friends, is slated to dramatize the complexities of public and private personas, casting cautionary light on the cost of conflating real love with on-screen romance. These projects underscore how personal revelations can spark fresh storytelling across mediums, ensuring MacGraw's confession reverberates not only in academic libraries, but also on headphones, tablets, and cinema screens worldwide. That on the business side, contract language and talent agreements began to evolve. Agents and entertainment lawyers report a spike in demand for narrative consent clauses, giving individuals the right to approve personal disclosures tied to specific projects or anniversaries. Confidentiality addenda now often include grace periods that allow former partners to prepare public statements in tandem avoiding one-sided revelations that could appear exploitative. Studios are experimenting with story licensing fees, whereby a subject of a biographical project receives compensation for granting access to private materials. These innovations aim to strike a balance between artistic freedom and personal dignity, acknowledging that every tale, even a scandalous affair, belongs jointly to the person who lived it and the audience who treasures it. The transformative legacy of Ali MacGraw's confession stands clear. By exposing her affair, she not only reshaped her own narrative, but also forged new pathways for healing, education, creative reinvention, and industry reform. In the final section, we will explore the personal transformations of the individuals at the heart of this story: MacGraw, McQueen's estate, Robert Evans's reflections, and reveal how this long-buried secret continues to evolve lives and careers more than half a century later. As the final chapter of this saga unfolds, we witness profound personal transformations in the lives of all involved. Ali MacGraw, having once carried the weight of a hidden romance behind her poised performances, embraced a new era of self-acceptance. Freed from fears of judgment, she deepened her artistic explorations, returning to painting with renewed vigor and weaving her experiences into memoir chapters that earned critical acclaim. That courageous act of confession carved space for honest dialogues about forgiveness and personal evolution. In private conversations, Ali described how telling her story lifted an endless burden and freed her to pursue roles that explored complex emotional landscapes. Her life became a living testament to resilience, proving that authenticity at any cost can lead to creative rebirth. Steve McQueen's legacy, already legendary, found fresh dimensions in the wake of this confession. His estate, guided by caretakers who protect his memory, released letters and photographs that reframed his on-screen bravado as a veneer masking deep emotional vulnerability. Private journals revealed a side to McQueen that fans had never fully perceived, a man whose tough exterior concealed a longing for genuine connection. By acknowledging the depth of his relationship with Ali, the custodians of his heritage offered new interpretations of his film roles, enriching retrospectives and reviving interest in lesser-known projects. Film festivals responded with special McQueen programs that juxtaposed iconic action sequences with personal home movies, forging an intimate portrait that transcended star mythology. Meanwhile, Robert Evans reflected on his own journey through this reconstructed narrative. In public statements issued alongside archival footage, he acknowledged the complexity of their marriage and the human frailties that led to its unraveling. Privately, friends say, Evans grappled with guilt and relief as he revisited old memories screened through the lens of Ali's courage. His foundation, established years after their divorce, dedicated scholarships to support children of creative parents in crisis, an initiative that mirrored Ali's philanthropic direction. Responding to renewed scrutiny, Evans's estate published a heartfelt essay on forgiveness, urging readers to understand how creativity and ambition can both build and break bonds. Through these acts of transparency, Evans's legacy expanded beyond producer credits to encompass the redemptive power of understanding. Across film scholarship and fan culture, the echo of this revelation has spurred ongoing research and reflection. Academics launched oral history projects to capture testimonies from crew members who worked alongside Ali, preserving anecdotes about her resilience and professionalism during turbulent times. Film journals published special issues analyzing the affair's impact on on-screen chemistry, and podcasts emerged chronicling each step of the saga from script pages to marital splits. Online archives updated entries to include personal context alongside career milestones, blending flesh-and-blood narratives with celluloid histories. Even local libraries in Hollywood neighborhoods curated reading lists pairing MacGraw's memoirs with classic texts on romantic tragedy, fostering community discussions about the interplay between love, art, and legacy. In her ongoing interviews and recent keynote appearances, Ali emphasizes that this chapter of her life transcends scandal. It's a celebration of navigating complexity with dignity. She recounts workshops she now leads for emerging actors, sharing strategies to balance professional ambition with personal authenticity. These sessions include guided writing exercises inspired by her diaries and mindfulness practices she credits for maintaining emotional equilibrium during press storms. Participants praise her willingness to translate painful memories into teaching moments, calling her the embodiment of wisdom forged in hardship. For many, these workshops mark a rare opportunity to learn directly from a screen icon who has lived through the intersection of fame and vulnerability. Ali's journey underscores an enduring truth that growth often arrives on the heels of disruption, and that storytelling, both public and private, can heal old wounds. As this extraordinary saga concludes, the affair that ended a high-profile marriage emerges as a powerful beacon illuminating the human condition. No longer confined to glossy magazine pages or whispered anecdotes, Ali MacGraw's story now stands as an enduring narrative about choice, consequence, and creative courage. It reminds us that true artistry blossoms when we embrace our whole selves, including the messy, passionate parts that defy tidy scripts. When actors step into roles, they carry personal histories that color every emotion, every glance, every gesture. By revealing her hidden love and its fallout, MacGraw invited audiences to experience the raw edges of authenticity. Decades later, her confession continues to inspire artists to tell difficult truths, historians to preserve fragile memories, and fans to seek empathy behind every frame. The affair that once threatened to overshadow her talent has become a guiding light, proof that vulnerability, once unleashed, can transform scandal into strength, heartache into art, and private confession into universal story. It remains timeless, shaping our collective empathy today.